Commander Jinwoo, stood in the large meeting room of the United Earth Defense Council. Big windows showed the sky above the city, but today, the sky looked different. Strange ships floated in the air like metal clouds, blocking the sun and making long shadows fall across the buildings below. The ships were huge and smooth, with no sharp edges. They moved without making any sound. People in the streets below had stopped walking and were looking up with wide eyes and open mouths. Some were taking pictures with their phones. Others were running away. "Sir, we have more information about them now," said Dr. Hyjin as she walked into the room. She was Earth's best scientist who studied alien life, though until today, no one had ever seen real aliens. Her hands were shaking a little as she held her tablet computer. Jinwoo turned away from the window. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had been in charge of Earth's defenses for 10 years. But he had always thought his job was to protect against other humans, not visitors from space. "Tell me everything," he said. Dr. Hyjin looked at her tablet. "They call themselves the Hegemony. It's like a big group made of 12 different alien species. They say they work together to keep peace in the galaxy." "Peace," repeated Defense Minister So-young. She was a short woman with sharp eyes who never smiled much. "Is that what they call those ships hanging over our cities?" Before Dr. Hyjin could answer, the lights in the room dimmed. A blue glow filled the air in the center of the room, and slowly, a shape began to appear. It grew taller and brighter until it became solid. The alien was unlike anything any human had ever seen. It looked like it was made of clear crystal, but the crystal moved and flowed like water. Light seemed to come from inside its body, making patterns that changed as it moved. It was much taller than any human, maybe 3 meters high, and it had no face that humans could recognize. "Greetings, humans of Earth," the alien said. Its voice came from a small device floating near its body, not from any mouth. The voice was calm and smooth, like someone reading from a book. "I am an ambassador of the Hegemony." Jinwoo felt his heart beating fast, but he kept his face calm. "Welcome to Earth. I am Commander Ginwoo of the United Earth Defense Council." The alien's crystal body flickered with different colors. "We have been watching your species for many years. We have seen your wars, your violence, your desire to spread to other worlds. This concerns us greatly." So-young stepped forward. "You've been watching us? For how long? Since you first sent radio signals into space? We study all new species to understand if they will be dangerous to the peace we have built in this galaxy." The room became very quiet. Jinwoo could hear the air conditioning and the sound of traffic far below on the streets. "And what did you decide about us?" Jinwoo asked. The alien's colors changed to darker shades. "Your species shows dangerous tendencies. You fight wars over small differences. You damage your own planet. You are beginning to spread to other worlds. If left alone, you will bring chaos to the galaxy." Dr. Hyjin made a small sound of surprise. "You think we're dangerous? We know you are dangerous. This is why we offer you a choice. Submit to our guidance, accept our rules, allow us to control your population and your expansion to other worlds. In return, you will be permitted to exist under our protection." The words hit the room like a cold wind. Jinwoo felt anger rising in his chest, but he kept his voice steady. "And if we refuse, then we will be forced to take other actions to protect galactic peace." So-young's eyes became narrow and hard. "Are you threatening us? We are offering you survival. Many species have accepted our guidance and now live in peace and safety. We do not wish to harm you, but we cannot allow a dangerous species to spread unchecked." Jinwoo looked around the room at his advisors and generals. Some looked scared. Others looked angry. All of them were looking at him, waiting for his answer. He thought about his daughter, who was probably in school right now, maybe looking up at the alien ships through her classroom window. He thought about all the children on Earth, and all the people working and living their lives, not knowing that strangers from space wanted to control their future. "We appreciate your concern," Jinwoo said slowly, choosing each word carefully. "However, we must respectfully decline your offer." The alien's crystal body suddenly became much brighter, and the colors inside it swirled faster. "You refuse our benevolence." Soyoung stepped closer to Jinwoo. "We refuse your control. Humans make their own choices about their future." The alien stood perfectly still for a long moment. Then other lights appeared in the room, and more aliens materialized. They began making sounds that were not words, but somehow the translator device picked up their meaning. Unexpected response. No previous species has refused initial offer. Probability calculations were incorrect. New protocols required. The first alien turned back to the humans. "Then you choose the alternative path. We regret this necessity, but you have made your decision clear." One by one, the aliens began to fade away like ghosts. The first ambassador was the last to disappear. "You have 72 of your hours to reconsider. After that time, we will begin the pacification process. We are sorry it has come to this." The room became dark again as the aliens vanished completely. For a few seconds, nobody moved or spoke. Finally, Jinwoo turned to his communication officer. "Send a message to all our colonies immediately. Mars, Europa, Titan, all of them. Tell them what just happened here." "What should I tell them to do, sir?" the officer asked. Jin-Woo looked out the window at the alien ships still hanging in the sky. "Tell them to get ready. If these aliens want to play this game, they're about to learn something important about humans." "What's that, sir?" Jinwoo's eyes became hard as steel. "That we don't make good pets." Captain Minho pressed his back against the broken concrete wall and tried to breathe quietly. 6 months had passed since the aliens first attacked Earth, and the world had changed completely. Where Tokyo's busy streets once filled with millions of people, now only empty buildings and piles of broken stone remained. The alien energy weapons had been terrible. They could destroy entire city blocks in seconds, turning steel and concrete into dust. New Seoul had been the first to fall, then London, then Tokyo. The aliens called it pacification, but Minho called it murder. He looked through a crack in the wall at the street beyond. An alien patrol was moving slowly down what used to be a shopping district. Their floating tank moved without making any sound, hovering 2 meters above the ground. 3 alien soldiers walked beside it, their silver suits shining in the dim sunlight that filtered through the dust clouds. "Captain, I can see them," whispered Sergeant Yoonji through the tiny radio in his ear. She was hiding on the other side of the street, behind the remains of a car. 1 hover tank, 3 guards, just like you said. Minho smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a hunter who had found his prey. "Good. Are you ready?" "Always ready, sir." Minho had learned many things in the past 6 months. He learned that alien weapons were very powerful, but took time to charge between shots. He learned that alien soldiers were trained to fight in open spaces, not in the tight corners and hidden passages of destroyed cities. Most importantly, he learned that aliens were not used to fighting enemies who refused to give up. The hover tank came closer. Minho could see the blue glow from its power source through the transparent panels on its side. That power source was what he needed. Human scientists had been studying pieces of alien technology, trying to understand how it worked. Every piece they could steal made humanity a little bit stronger. "Target acquired," Yoonji whispered. "The tank is moving past the old bank building now." Minho checked his homemade explosive device. It was built from materials found in the ruins, chemicals from a destroyed pharmacy, metal pieces from broken cars, and a timer taken from an old microwave oven. It was not pretty, but it worked. "Remember the plan," Minho said quietly into his radio. "Take the power core. Leave the shell booby-trapped. We want them to think twice before sending more patrols through this area." The alien soldiers moved, like they were taking a peaceful walk. They did not expect trouble. In their 6 months on Earth, they had learned that humans usually ran away or hid when they appeared. They had not learned about humans, like Minho and his team. Eunji threw her device first. It was a simple smoke bomb that created a thick white cloud around the hover tank. The alien soldiers immediately raised their energy weapons and began looking around, but they could not see anything through the smoke. That was when Minho struck. He ran from his hiding place and jumped onto the side of the hover tank. The aliens heard him and turned their weapons toward the tank, but they could not shoot without hitting their own vehicle. Minho's hands worked quickly. He had practiced this many times on broken alien machines. The power core was protected by a metal panel, but human tools could open it if you knew where to press. The aliens had not expected humans to figure out their technology so quickly. "Got it," Minho shouted as he pulled the glowing power core from the tank. It was about the size of a football and warm to the touch. The hover tank immediately fell to the ground with a loud crash. The smoke was starting to clear. The alien soldiers could see him now, and they were raising their weapons. But Minho was already moving. He threw his explosive device into the empty space where the power core had been and jumped off the tank. "Run," he yelled. Minho and Yunji ran in different directions, just like they had planned. The aliens tried to follow, but they were not fast enough. By the time their reinforcements arrived 3 minutes later, both humans had disappeared into the subway tunnels that ran under the city. The explosive device went off just as the reinforcement soldiers were examining the broken tank. The explosion was not big enough to hurt anyone, but it sent a clear message. This tank was now a trap, and the next one might be bigger. 300 kilometers away, in the underground laboratory hidden beneath the ruins of Busan, Dr. Juni heard the good news over his encrypted radio. "Another power core recovered," the voice reported. "Minho's team is bringing it to you now." Dr. Junesio smiled as he looked around his secret workshop. The basement had once stored rice and vegetables for a grocery store above. Now it was full of alien technology that sparkled and hummed with strange energy. Broken pieces of alien weapons, parts of their communication devices, and fragments of their armor covered every table. "Excellent," he said. "We're learning their secrets faster than they expected." For 6 months, Dr. Junesio and teams of human engineers had been taking apart everything the resistance fighters brought them. They discovered that alien energy weapons worked by changing the frequency of light waves. Once humans understood this, they could build devices to block or jam the weapons. "Sir, I have the new frequency jammer ready for testing," said his assistant, a young woman named Hae-young, who had been studying electrical engineering before the war began. Dr. Junesio picked up the device. It looked like a small radio, built from parts of alien technology mixed with human electronics. "If this works, our fighters will be able to get much closer to alien patrols." He turned on the device and pointed it at a captured alien weapon on the table. When he pressed the trigger on the alien weapon, nothing happened. The jammer was blocking its energy. "Perfect," he said. "Send the plans to all resistance cells immediately, and send a copy to Mars." Far away on the red planet, Colonel Sujin received a message in Olympus Base, humanity's largest colony beyond Earth. Mars had been lucky. The aliens had focused all their attention on Earth and had not yet discovered the human settlements on other worlds. "How long until our fleet is ready?" she asked her chief engineer, a man named Teho, who had been building spaceships for 20 years. Teho looked at the construction bay, where human workers were building new ships using a mixture of human and stolen alien technology. 2 years, maybe less, if we keep getting new technology from Earth. Sujin nodded. The aliens thought they were fighting primitive humans on one world. They had no idea that humans had colonies on Mars, Europa, Titan, and dozens of other places. They had no idea that every piece of alien technology stolen on Earth was being studied and copied throughout the solar system. The aliens made a mistake, Sujin said quietly. They think humans give up easily. They're about to learn how wrong they are. Lieutenant Ji-hoon floated in the darkness of space, surrounded by nothing but rocks and stars. His small space station was hidden inside a large asteroid, invisible to alien sensors. For 3 years, he had been listening to radio signals from across the galaxy, collecting information that most people would never believe. The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter was the perfect place to hide. Thousands of rocks drifted through space here, and one more metal object looked like natural debris to anyone scanning from far away. But Ji-hoon's station was much more than it appeared. It was filled with the most advanced communication equipment humans had ever built, powered by alien technology stolen from Earth. "Admiral, I have news," Ji-hoon said into his encrypted radio. His voice traveled across millions of kilometers to reach the human fleet hiding near Saturn. Admiral Seungmin was aboard the New Hope, a ship that looked like a cargo vessel from the outside but carried enough weapons to destroy a small moon. The admiral was an old man with gray hair and tired eyes, but his mind was still sharp as a knife. "What do you have for me, Lieutenant?" the admiral asked. Ji-hoon looked at his screens, which showed information flowing in from all over the galaxy. "The Vorthen system has gone completely silent. No communications for the past week. That makes 5 hegemony worlds that have lost contact this month." Seungmin was quiet for a moment. Then Ji-hoon heard him make a sound that might have been laughter, but not the happy kind. "Our diplomatic teams have been very busy," the admiral said. The plan had been simple, but clever. While the hegemony aliens spent all their time and energy fighting humans on Earth, other humans had been secretly traveling to distant worlds. These humans were not soldiers with guns. They were teachers, engineers, and doctors who carried something more dangerous than any weapon: knowledge. The message they brought to alien worlds was always the same. Resistance was possible. Freedom could be won. And somewhere in the galaxy, a small blue planet called Earth was proving it every single day. On a world called Kepler-4 for 2b, which was 400 light-years from Earth, a creature named Raxel watched a small screen in his hiding place. Raxel looked like a giant lizard that walked on 2 legs. His people had been ruled by the hegemony for 300 years, so long that most of them had forgotten what freedom felt like. But the humans had not forgotten. They had sent Raxel videos that showed him things he had never imagined. Humans fighting alien soldiers in the ruins of their cities. Humans building weapons from broken pieces of alien technology. Humans refusing to surrender, even when their enemies had better ships and stronger weapons. "If they can do it, we can do it," Raxel whispered to himself in his own language. The video showed him how to build simple explosive devices from materials he could find in any hegemony city. It showed him how to organize secret groups of fighters. Most importantly, it showed him that even the mighty hegemony could be hurt if enough people fought back at the same time. Raxel was not alone. On dozens of worlds throughout hegemony space, other creatures watched the same videos and learned the same lessons. The galaxy was changing, one planet at a time. Back on Earth, Major Young-sik crawled through the underground tunnels beneath Berlin. The German city had been beautiful once, with wide streets and tall buildings. Now, it looked like the surface of the moon, covered in dust and broken stone. But underneath the ruins, the tunnels were still intact, and they made perfect hiding places for human fighters. "Team Alpha, are you in position?" Young-sik whispered into his radio. "Ready and waiting, Major," came the reply. Young-sik looked through a crack in the tunnel wall at the alien command post above. It had been built inside what used to be a shopping mall, with tall walls and guard towers at every corner. 20 alien soldiers patrolled the area, their silver suits reflecting the dim sunlight. The aliens thought their command post was safe. because they had better weapons and more soldiers than any human group. But they had made one big mistake. They thought humans were too primitive to understand alien technology. They were wrong. Human engineers had been studying alien communication systems for 3 years. They had learned how the aliens talked to each other, how they coordinated their attacks, and how they called for help when they were in trouble. Strike Team Alpha, I'm accessing their communication network now, Young Seek said as he connected his human-built device to an alien communication cable, uploading false information about our location. His fingers worked quickly on the device's keyboard. Within seconds, every alien radio in the area received the same message. A large group of human fighters had been spotted 15 kilometers to the north, and all available soldiers should respond immediately. The aliens believed their own communication system. Why wouldn't they? No primitive human could possibly break their advanced codes. Half the guards at the command post immediately left to investigate the false report. The remaining aliens called for air support from flying vehicles in the area. But Young Seek's device sent those vehicles to the wrong coordinates as well. Now, Young Seek shouted. His team emerged from 6 different tunnel entrances around the command post. They moved fast and struck hard, using alien weapons they had captured and modified. The battle lasted only 5 minutes. By the time alien reinforcements arrived at the real location, Young Seek and his fighters had taken what they came for and vanished back into the underground tunnels, deep underground in the Rocky Mountains of North America. General Myung studied reports from around the galaxy in her secret command center. The information came from human agents on dozens of worlds, and the story it told was amazing. The hegemony was in trouble. For 300 years, they had kept peace by conquering other species and making them obey. But now, species that had been quiet for centuries were suddenly fighting back. Hegemony soldiers who had never seen real combat were being defeated by enemies they had thought were harmless. They're learning the hard way, Myung told her staff officers. Peace through force only works until someone teaches the oppressed how to resist. She looked at a map of the galaxy that showed hegemony territory in red. 3 years ago, it had been solid red from one end to the other. Now it was full of holes where worlds had gone dark or stopped following orders. How many worlds are in active rebellion now? She asked. 43 confirmed. Sir, her intelligence officer replied, and the number is growing every week. Myung smiled. The hegemony had thought they were fighting one small planet full of primitive humans. Instead, they had accidentally started a galaxy-wide revolution. Send a message to all our agents, she said. Tell them to keep up the good work. The hegemony is about to learn that freedom is contagious. Fleet Commander Jinsu stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and watched death approaching from the stars. The hegemony's war fleet filled the darkness of space like a swarm of metal insects, their ships so numerous that they blocked out entire sections of stars. Each vessel glowed with the terrible light of charging weapons, and the largest ones carried planet-killer devices that could crack continents like eggs. How many ships? Jinsu asked his navigation officer. Yujin checked her instruments with shaking hands. 600 vessels, sir. 12 of them are dreadnoughts with planet-killing weapons. The rest are battle cruisers and fighter craft. Jinsu nodded slowly. The human fleet had only 80 ships, built in secret over 4 years, using stolen, alien technology. They were good ships, fast and deadly, but they were badly outnumbered. In any normal battle, the humans would have no chance of winning, but this would not be a normal battle. Open communications to all ships, Jinsu ordered. The communication officer pressed several buttons, and Jinsu's voice went out to every human ship in the fleet. But it also went to ships that were not human at all. All vessels. This is Fleet Commander J. Today we show the hegemony what they awakened when they attacked Earth. Today we fight not just for humanity, but for every species that has been forced to bow to their so-called peace. Around Earth's orbit, The human ships began to move into battle formation, but they were not alone. Ships from 12 different alien species moved with them, their hulls painted with strange symbols and their weapons charged with deadly energy. These were species that the hegemony had conquered centuries ago and forced to obey. Now they were free, and they had come to fight. Alongside the humans who had taught them how to resist. The first shots came from the hegemony fleet. Beams of pure energy lanced across space, bright enough to hurt the eyes. The human ship Defiant took a direct hit and exploded in a ball of fire and metal. 12 human sailors died in that instant. "Return fire," Jinsu shouted. The human fleet and their alien allies fired back. Their weapons were not as powerful as the hegemony's planet killers, but they were faster and more accurate. 3 hegemony cruisers exploded before their crews knew what had hit them. The battle spread across Earth's orbital space like a deadly dance. Ships twisted and turned, firing at each other with weapons that could destroy cities. The space between Earth and the moon filled with explosions, laser beams, and the wreckage of destroyed vessels. On Earth's surface, Colonel Hyenwu watched the battle from his underground command center in the mountains of Korea. His job was to coordinate the planet's ground-based weapons, giant ion cannons that could reach into space and strike alien ships. "Ion Cannon Battery Alpha is online," reported his weapons officer. "Target acquired the hegemony command ship." Hyenwu looked at his targeting screen. The alien command ship was huge, 3 times larger than any human vessel. It hung in space, like a metal mountain, directing the battle and coordinating the hegemony fleet. "Fire," he ordered. A beam of blue energy shot up from Earth's surface and struck the command ship. The alien vessel's shields absorbed most of the blast, but cracks appeared in its armor plating. "Hit confirmed," the weapons officer reported. "Their shields are weakening. Keep firing. All batteries, target that command ship. If we can destroy their communications center, their fleet will lose coordination." The hegemony had expected to fight primitive humans with simple weapons. Instead, they found themselves facing an enemy that had learned everything about war from years of desperate fighting. The humans used every trick they had discovered, every tactic they had developed, every piece of stolen technology they had mastered. Human ships appeared from behind asteroids and attacked from unexpected directions. They used electronic warfare to jam alien communications. They coordinated their attacks with ground-based weapons and fighters launched from hidden bases on the moon. But the most devastating surprise was still to come, deep in hegemony space. Thousands of light years from the battle around Earth, Agent Timon sat in his small apartment on the alien capital world. He looked like one of the crystalline beings that ruled the hegemony. But inside his artificial body was the mind of a human intelligence officer. For 3 years, Timon had lived among the aliens, learning their language, studying their technology, and earning their trust. He worked in their communication center, helping to maintain the networks that connected the hegemony's 12 home worlds. The aliens thought he was one of their own loyal citizens. They were wrong. His encrypted radio came to life with a message. From Earth. "All operatives, this is Phoenix Protocol. Execute Order 7. Timon smiled and opened his toolkit. Inside were small devices that looked like normal maintenance equipment, but they were actually electromagnetic pulse generators, built by human engineers. He had been placing them throughout the alien communication center for months, always during routine maintenance work that no one questioned. Now it was time to use them. Across 12 star systems, hundreds of other human agents received the same message. Some looked like aliens, wearing artificial bodies and false identities. Others were humans who had infiltrated alien facilities by pretending to be refugees or workers. All of them had spent years preparing for this moment. At exactly the same time, they all activated their hidden devices. The effect was immediate and devastating. On every hegemony home world, the orbital defense stations went dark as their power systems overloaded. Planetary shields that had protected alien cities for centuries flickered and died. Military communication networks collapsed as the electromagnetic pulses destroyed their delicate electronics. In the space battle around Earth, the hegemony fleet suddenly found itself cut off from their home base. No reinforcements would come. No new orders would arrive. Their commanders were on their own, fighting an enemy that had somehow reached into the heart of their territory and struck at their most protected systems. The message was clear and terrifying. Humanity had been inside their most secure installations all along. Human agents had walked among them for years, learning their secrets, mapping their defenses, and preparing for this moment. The aliens could have been destroyed at any time, but the humans had waited until the perfect moment to reveal their true strength. In space above Earth, Jinsu watched as confusion spread through the hegemony fleet. Their formations began to break apart as individual commanders realized they could not contact their superiors. All ships, Jinsu broadcast. Press the attack. They're isolated and confused. Show them what happens when they threaten our world. The human fleet and their alien allies surged forward, their weapons blazing. The final battle for Earth's freedom had begun. Admiral Dong Hyan walked through the ruins of what had once been the Premier United Nations building in New York. The Great Hall, where world leaders used to meet, was now mostly rubble and twisted metal. But human engineers had cleared enough space for one final meeting. Sunlight streamed through holes in the ceiling, creating patterns of light and shadow on the broken floor. The war was over. After 4 years of fighting, the hegemony had surrendered. Their great fleet lay destroyed in space around Earth, and their home worlds were defenseless. The galaxy's most powerful empire had been defeated by a species they had considered primitive and weak. But victory always came with a price. Earth was in ruins. Billions of people had died. Entire cities had been turned to dust. The blue skies that humans remembered from before the war were now gray with smoke and debris. Still, humanity had won. And now came the hardest part, deciding what to do with that victory. The alien delegation entered the hall, through a temporary doorway cut into the wreckage. There were 12 of them, one representative from each species in the hegemony. They moved slowly, their crystal bodies flickering with colors that seemed dim and faded compared to 4 years ago. The lead representative was the same, alien ambassador who had first demanded Earth's surrender. Then, it had stood tall and proud, its crystal form blazing with confident light. Now it seemed smaller somehow, its inner glow uncertain and weak. President Guyung sat at a simple metal table in the center of the hall. She was a small woman with gray hair and tired eyes, but her voice was strong when she spoke. "Please, sit," she said, gesturing to chairs that had been arranged for the alien delegation. The aliens did not sit. Their crystal forms did not bend that way. Instead, they stood in a line facing the human representatives, like prisoners waiting for their sentence. "We have come to accept your terms," the lead alien said. Its voice came through a translation device, but the words sounded hollow. And defeated, Admiral Dong Hyan stood beside the president's table. He was an old soldier with scars on his hands from years of fighting, but his mind was still sharp. He had been thinking about this moment for months, preparing for the questions he knew the aliens would ask. "Before we discuss terms," Dong Han said, "I think you have something you want to ask us." The alien's crystal body flickered with colors that the translation device interpreted as confusion and fear. "Your agents," the alien said slowly. "They were positioned throughout our territory for years. They had access to our most secure facilities. They could have destroyed our home worlds at any time during the war. Why didn't you strike first?" The question hung in the air like smoke. Around the hall, human officials and military leaders watched the alien delegation with careful eyes. Some of these humans wanted revenge for the billions who had died. Others wanted to show mercy to a defeated enemy. All of them were curious to hear how their leaders would answer. President Guyung exchanged a look with Admiral Dong Hyan. They had discussed this question many times in private meetings. The answer would define not just the end of this war, but the kind of galaxy that would exist afterward. Because we are not you, Giyang said calmly. We do not start wars, but we do finish them. The alien delegation stood in silence for a long moment. Their crystal bodies pulsed with colors that might have been surprise, or relief, or something humans had no word for. Around the hall, holographic displays showed the current state of the galaxy. 43 worlds were in active rebellion against hegemony rule. Human-trained resistance fighters were spreading across hundreds of star systems. Hybrid technology that combined human and alien science was being built on dozens of worlds. The word pacification had become a symbol of oppression that united species across the galaxy. What are your terms? The lead alien asked. General Wu Jin stepped forward carrying a document written on simple paper. In a galaxy of advanced technology, the peace treaty was written with old-fashioned ink and pen, like the treaties that had ended wars on Earth centuries ago. No more preemptive wars against developing species, Wu Jin read from the document. No more forced subjugation of worlds that refuse your guidance. Species will develop at their own pace, fight their own battles, and make their own mistakes. The age of imposed peace is over. The alien's crystal form grew brighter. And if we refuse these terms, Captain Haiyang activated a holographic display that filled the air above the broken hall. It showed the current positions of human forces throughout the galaxy. Fleets built with captured alien technology, alliance treaties with dozens of liberated species, and most importantly, the locations of human agents still embedded in hegemony territory. The message was clear. Humanity could strike at the heart of the hegemony at any time. The aliens' most secure worlds were defenseless, their communication networks compromised, their military forces scattered and demoralized. Admiral Dong Haiyan stepped closer to the alien delegation. His voice was quiet, but carried clearly through. The ruined hull. You made the first move 4 years ago, he said. We made the last one count. The choice of what happens next is yours. But understand this. Humanity remembers everything we learned from you. We know how to build your weapons now. We know how to break your codes. We know where your worlds are and how to reach them. We are not going anywhere. The lead alien's crystal body pulsed with deep blue light. You could conquer our territory. Rule as we ruled. Why offer us terms instead of demanding surrender? President Giyang stood up from her chair. Through the holes in the ceiling, she could see the gray sky and the first stars appearing in the evening darkness. Somewhere up there, human ships were patrolling the space around Earth, protecting their wounded world. Because conquest is your way, not ours, she said. We fight for freedom, not control. We want a galaxy where every species can choose its own path. The alien delegation huddled together, their crystal forms flickering as they communicated in their own language. Finally, the lead representative turned back to the humans. We accept your terms. The signing ceremony was simple. Each alien representative touched the treaty document with a crystal appendage, leaving a glowing mark that served as their signature. President Giyang signed last, using an old fountain pen that had belonged to her grandfather. As the aliens prepared to leave, Admiral Dong Yan called out to them. There is something else you should know, he said. We have a saying on Earth, speak softly and carry a big stick. For 4 years, we carried the stick. Now we choose to speak softly. The alien delegation paused at the doorway. Remember this. Dae Donghyun continued. Remember that when humanity had the power to destroy you, we chose to offer you peace instead. That is the difference between us. As the aliens departed, their crystal forms fading into the evening darkness, President Ji Young looked around the ruined hall, where the future of the galaxy had just been decided. The war was over. The real work was just beginning.